Everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up With, the online conversation series where I interview your favourite public figures to keep up with their mental well-being and see how they are doing. Today I'm interviewing singer-songwriter EMMAVIE, and I'm really looking forward to this interview because EMMAVIE is an inspiration of mine. I've been listening to her music for a very long time. She is a very soulful singer and I really love her vibe. So today we're going to be speaking mental health, music and lots more. So stay tuned and I hope that you guys will enjoy today's interview. So welcome. Right, EMMAVIE has joined. So I'm just gonna, there we go. Just gonna wait for EMMAVIE to accept our
Hello.
Yes, I'm liking that you're outside.
Yeah, because it's so hot in my room.
Let me just turn you up. Perfect. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just gonna turn you up a bit louder.
Yeah.
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
You're giving me some bright skies.
It's like it's cooler outside than it is inside. I just can't stay inside the house.
You know what? I was actually thinking of doing an interview outside, but I thought, you know what? Let me just stick to inside because if I go outside and the camera drops, and no. Thank you for allowing me to interview you.
Thank you for even asking me.
No worries. I'm super excited, and I kind of feel privileged because I know today your new video out, Typical Me, is out,
yep.
and I'm interviewing you today, so I kind of feel really privileged. So congratulations with that one. What inspired you to get involved with that song?
Actually, Barney just hit me up. We've been working together. It's like 10 years. He said it today. It's been like 10 years. And I'm just like, how did 10 years fly? But whenever he's working on a project, like I feel privileged because there's always a space for me. So like whenever he's working on an album or a mixtape or something, he always sends me a song. And then, yeah, he just sent it to me and I literally just put the hook and the like bridge bit down immediately and then it was done.
Yeah, and I really like it. And one thing that I really like about it is I really like the visuals, how it's so just authentic and how it's just on the street. You come in, do your hook, and the other two come in and do their raps. And it's just really nice and just really authentic and really natural and just kind of straight to the point and very raw. So I like that.
I think that's Barney's style, like just to keep it real so you capture that like natural energy of just performing the song then and there, not like trying to stage anything or like really be creating like a narrative. It's literally just that raw hip-hop energy. That's what he does.
Definitely. And speaking about style, you're a very soulful singer. You kind of give me the India Irie type of vibe, which is nice to hear, because you don't really have much very soulful singers nowadays, so it's nice to kind of hear your type of music and how it's very soulful and very authentic. So it's nice to hear that type of music. So EMMAVIE, how have you been?
Have I been or have I really been? What's the question?
Okay, how have you really been?
It's been like I've been up like right this minute. I'm fine. I think like everyone, and I think a lot of people can relate, it's been a bit of a roller coaster these last few months. It's impossible to kind of like just isolate yourself away from like the workings of the world right now because there's so much crazy stuff happening. The news is crazier than ever and extremely triggering. But like, I don't know, in everyone's individual lives, like mine, it's like at the beginning of the year, a lot of prospects for good things happening obviously just went out the window with COVID and stuff like that. And then I keep saying this, but like then there was just like a moment of, I don't know, I was just a little bit relieved, I think, because I was just like, well, surely now I'm going to have some time to just focus on me, focus on making some new music, focus on my mental health as well. Like just getting some peace, not having to be in the rat race. Because I think actually at the beginning of the year, I was preparing myself for like a really intense run of things. And then trying to make things happen as well. And then within like 2 weeks of lockdown, it's just like, okay, none of those things are going to happen. So like just be prepared to relax and enjoy that as well. Because I think like a lot of people, and I think a lot of people in London specifically, and a lot of artists, like we feel guilty for chilling out. We feel guilty. Do you know what I mean? You feel guilty doing something, not releasing music every day, for not like shooting a video every single day, and like, do you know what I mean? Getting thousands of people's attention all of the time. So like, I think I was met with that guilt in the beginning, and then afterwards I was just like, actually get used to it. This might be the last time ever, we don't know, where like you get time to just expect nothing. Yeah, I think I've been good, been bad, then been good again, and like right now I'm good.
So it kind of seems like your mood has fluctuated in a sense, and I feel like that's for everyone as well, particularly with when COVID first started in March, and it was kind of like, what's going on here? What is this pandemic? What is COVID? What is this? And kind of everyone's been kind of like on this up and down journey. And I remember I watched one video of yours when you were talking about in the beginning of the year, you kind of had your goals, you know, you were ready to kind of start 2020 on a high, and you had your projects that you wanted to do, you wanted to travel, but then COVID hit, and then, you know, it's like, oh, hold on a minute, for the first time in my career, this has happened, you know, how do I manage it? How do I deal with it? So during that time at the beginning, so let's go back to March, you found out about COVID, and then as things were progressing, you kind of found out that, okay, maybe I need to maybe I can't make music right now, and I feel quite guilty that I can't. How did you manage those types of feelings at that time?
I think turning to people. I think because it is still a joined experience. I think just like everyone needed to talk, everyone needed to understand, everyone needed to seek solace. And not only was I like that for my friends, but my friends were that for me as well. So I think what I found happened right at the beginning is that, yeah, we're getting phone calls from people that I haven't heard from in years, right? It was quite strange in the beginning because it was just like, what?
I expect you to.
Like, hey, haven't seen you in 7 years. How you doing? So I think there was a lot of like reaching out was the one thing that like, one, it was so time consuming in the beginning because it was literally like I was on the phone, on Zoom calls, on FaceTime calls, and whatever, all throughout the day because everyone was at home. Yeah. Everyone was panicking, so it was just like phone calls back to back to back, and just like mini therapy sessions, like non-stop. I can't even think of in the beginning, like that March, April time, there wasn't a break. I think there was like until people got used to it, until like it was the same thing with Instagram lives. Everyone suddenly went live because we can't see each other in real life, so let's get Instagram live right now every 10 minutes and sort of thing. So I think the way I dealt with it in the beginning was just talking and like trying to make sense of what life was going to be right now. And then yeah, like I tried to do what I love, like cooking. So like I was doing cooking because that's like something that brings me a lot of like just peace and a lot of joy as well. I really like cooking. I was doing a bit of exercise in the beginning. It's really, I'm just more of a, if I'm on exercise, I kind of need to be in the gym because I get really bored of like home workouts. But trying to do that because I think like I do definitely attach my physical health to my mental health. So I'm like, I'm the sort of person that when I'm working on myself externally, then it drives me to work on myself internally as well.
Oh, wow.
So I was doing that. And yeah, otherwise it's just like I've been making more music than like I don't even enjoy making music anymore. I've been making too much music, so I'm like that's where I'm at.
And do you know what I was just going to ask you about before I go on to about making your music and how it kind of felt very different in the sense of from going to the studio to being at home? It's very nice that you did have people who you could speak to in the beginning stages of COVID, and it brings back memories because it's gone so quick. And even for me, I just remember non-stop phone calls, WhatsApp groups being made. I think it was like house party. Everyone just wanted to like talk to each other and kind of get that kind of connection. And you know, you mentioned how people that you haven't spoken to in like years, you know, kind of connected with you. And I think for me, it just makes me feel that, you know, it doesn't have to be in times of a pandemic that we need to kind of connect with each other and kind of reach out to each other. So I really do hope that, you know, the people who reached out to you and who you reached out to, you kind of keep that communication and keep that connection, you know, continuously. But yeah, that was nice to hear that, you know, everyone was kind of talking and getting involved in conversations. Onto the music. So I'm assuming that you were making music at home or doing music at home. How did that feel to not be in the studio?
I've always just made my music at home. I think like there was like I do go to the studios if I'm invited to. And so if I'm in someone else's session, then yeah, I'll go to the studio. So this has been like, that's why it's not been a massive shift for me, because I'm kind of like always
in your element.
My room. I'm literally always in my own like setup. So it's just like it didn't feel like I had to make a massive shift. I just didn't have another option. And like, so, and yeah, I mean, I did have like some sessions scheduled that were cancelled, but because of the power of the internet now, it's just all of it just turns to like you just send the tracks over email, and there's a few different like apps and platforms you can use to collaborate remotely. So it's just like, yeah, all of those problems in terms of being in the studio and working with people, they've been solved. So it was kind of okay. So yeah, it's like I think I miss getting inspiration from other artists and producers, because I think usually I'd have people around to me, and then I'm producing off of their energy and off of their like they're the muse that during that session. So it's just like I wouldn't make something that like I'd end up making for myself because I'm being inspired by the person in the room. So all of that going, the one thing I found, and I think I'm still like experiencing right now, is I'm running out of being able to be inspired by nothing, because there's no real living right now. And usually like when I'm writing songs, it will come off of the energy of doing something. So I'm always going to feel super inspired if I've gone out with my friends for the day, even if it's like we've gone to the cinema or restaurant or something like that. It doesn't have to be some crazy holiday or some like adventurous thing, I don't know, rock climbing or something, but it can be that. But it can be as simple as just spending the last 4 hours at the park with my friends, and then I'll come back and feel like I've been juiced up. So like not being in a studio session or a studio setting or being around other art or just people in general does affect me actually just being able to write every single day.
Oh wow. And that's really interesting. And I like the fact how you said that being around other people, when you get their type of energy and their vibe, it inspires you to write records. Because for me, I think that's very deep and on a very spiritual level, the fact that you can kind of take in the energy and take in the vibes and create that into great music for people to listen to. So that just, for me, that just shows the talent and the level that you're at and the type of music that you make, because there's certain words, when I interview people, there's certain words that I look out for. And whenever I hear these words, it just clicks. Just like, this person knows, they know certain things. So yeah, that's really, really nice to hear that, you know, you vibe on that type of energy and stuff. So going back to what you said about kind of feeling guilty, you mentioned that you feel quite guilty at the fact that you haven't been making as much music as you probably may have should have or could have. How, I know you said you feel guilty about that, but why do you feel guilty? Do you not think that there's a time and a place to rest, and you know, maybe this is time that you can use to rest, as opposed to kind of feeling guilty that you're not making music?
I think I had to like uncondition myself a little bit during this lockdown, because I'm the sort of person where it's interesting, because my best friends, they just kind of describe me as someone who's always just like, what's the word I'm looking for? What did they say? Something like kind of driven. I'm always wanting to like be moving forward. And like, I think that comes from a need for change constantly. Like I'm always, I want to change my situation. I want to move up, I want to move forward in the world. I want to like, you know, I feel like I have, I don't know how to describe it, but like I have this condition where I always need to be achieving something. Like every day is a new thing I can tick off the list, even if it's, and like it's strange because recently I've been telling myself it is my diet. So it's just like being a vegan every day and having gone throughout the whole day without eating any animal products, that's an achievement. So I can like let go of everything else, because if it's not having finished a song or book some kind of gig or something like that, which it can't be in this time, I'm just going to go crazy because I'm not getting that sense of fulfillment from having achieved something every single day. So I think what happens in that is that the guilt comes in, because I'm like, I'm holding myself up to that kind of like
expectation.
I don't know, expectation. Exactly. It's a bit of a crazy standard, but like it was a decision I made. It's not like it wasn't so long ago that like I started doing that. I think it's probably in the last, I know it was definitely from like 2017, where I was just like, okay, I'm really putting my heels down. I'm putting my like hands in the dirt now, and I have to like actively make things happen, because I think I was kind of just letting things happen to me in life. You know, I was letting opportunities just kind of appear whenever they would, and then just feeling and then just being lucky that things happen. But then after I was like, oh, actually, I can make everything happen, and like I can see any kind of like success or achievement that like I can conceive. I can make those things happen. So then I've kind of been like, every single day you have to be making steps towards making stuff happen, or any kind of change that I want in my life and stuff like that. And then I guess the like the dark side of that is that there is no time for rest, because then I want to feel like I'm wasting time if I'm resting.
Yeah, and I feel like now that you've explained it, I totally agree. And you know, wanting to achieve something every day, I think that's doable, and I think that is something that people should aspire to do, because you know, we don't want the day to waste. And you know, it can be small little things, small little goals that you want to achieve. But I do think that it's good to be kind of proactive, because when you get into a state where you're not proactive and you're becoming quite lazy, you're becoming quite withdrawn, then you will notice that you might start feeling a bit mentally unstable, feeling quite low, feeling quite anxious. So I think in that sense, it's kind of good to have goals that you want to tick off and kind of work towards. Speaking on that, I know I did ask you earlier today whether you have struggled with your mental well-being, mental health. Have you ever struggled with your mental health before?
Yeah, the simple answer is yes. I don't know if I've ever spoken about it, but maybe I have, like maybe in an interview or something like that. But not recently. But I think it's something that like I have a lot more ownership over now. When, I mean, obviously when you're in the midst of like depression, kind of like anxiety and stuff like that, it does fill you with a lot of, I don't know, shame and denial, if anything. Whereas now that I'm like outside of that space and I can look at it objectively and with that, with a bit of distance, like, yeah, I can say that I have. And I don't know, I'm more attached to myself now. I'm like, I'm a bit more self-aware, definitely. Because I know I can look back at those times and almost like it doesn't even feel like me, and I or it looks like I'm looking at someone else, something like, or a life that like is not still attached to this same life, but I can still recall that feeling of like lack of hope. I think lack of hope. It's that, and not just not having any hope for the future, not thinking about the future and stuff like that. So I think the answer is just yes.
No, thank you. Thank you for even like admitting that without going into too much detail, because I do think to even just admit that you have struggled is very strong and very brave, and a lot of people will kind of feel inspired by your bravery and your strength. And sometimes people think that, you know, when you go through a mental health difficulty, you must explain what that difficulty was and how it affected you and blah 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 blah. But the actual ownership that, yes, I was struggling at this particular point in my life, but I can look back and know that, yeah, I did go through that, but I'm a different person now. Even that takes strength. So thank you for that. Self-care. You seem like someone who knows how to take care of your self-care in relation to, and I say that because of when you talk about energy and
Yeah.
vibes. When I hear things like that, I can get a sense that people know how to kind of take care of their self-care, and they kind of know what to do
Yeah.
with kind of healing themselves, should I say. So during these uncertain times, would you like to call it, how have you been taking care of your self-care, and what are the things have you been doing?
I think I've always, even outside of this lockdown, I've always been wary of what I let in, because I recognize that like I'm more sensitive than I even like to admit to myself,
Oh,
because
wow.
I'm the sort of person who I try and fit my thoughts and stuff into some kind of like logical order all of the time. So I'm always trying to think of my emotions, or like just my mental health and stuff, like always trying to make sense of it, as opposed to admitting like what I'm feeling and then how things impact me sometimes, because I'm always trying to like work on making things better, as opposed to just sitting in my feelings sometimes. So I have been, in the past, what I would do is not even give in to a feeling in the moment. So I'd be like, okay, I've just been disappointed, but I have a million other things to do, so I'm going to park that feeling right there. And then the problem with that is that I'd never go back to it. So then that's a lot of what ended up making me like have crashes and stuff like that, is that I definitely had like
kind of suppress those emotions, and then
suppressed things and internalized things, but wasn't always particularly like aware of them. So yeah, right now I'm trying to just like make sense of things in the moment, sit there and process those feelings and feel them, and like, and not be afraid of feeling like vulnerable in those places, not be like not beat myself up for feeling sad about things, because like life is sad sometimes, and that's just the reality of it. And I think a lot of us want to just have this perfect life where it's just, we never experience anything bad, we never fail, is like do you know I mean, nothing's ever that important, stuff like that. Always we want to be nonchalant towards things, but the reality is that like things do matter. And like I think I keep telling myself that actually stuff just matters, and that's why it's impacted me. So like a lot of my self-care has been being present and really looking at every side. Other than that, like I said before, I think so much of my like therapy, so much of my own like reflection has been with people around me, the people that I love. And I think I always say like love is one of the most important things. It's like it's so healing, and I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to have it in so many different ways, just like friends, family, partner, stuff like that. Where it's like I get to, because I think people reflect you. You know, the people that love you, they're like they're like a mirror to you, but like they're always a mirror of the good things. So it's like they remind you of like why you're okay, why you're worth it every day and stuff like that. They're always reflecting good. So it does give you that like, so I think part of my self-care is, oh sorry, my neighbors are making serious noise. All times, all day they weren't doing anything.
Today that's
Other self-care things, I think, like I said before, like just physical self-care. So actually like I think there's something that is good in knowing that you took care of yourself in the day and stuff like that. So just even if it's tiny things like giving myself a facial, or like sitting in the sun like today and just getting some sun rays, because it's like, you know, we're not going to get this all of the time. So I can complain about how hot it was, but it was also nice to get some sunlight and stuff like that. Writing, letting my thoughts out, because again, I think I'm an overthinker, and I think that's the one thing that I can attach to my like even anxieties around things, is thinking 70 years into the future about things. So just letting it out. But talking and writing, those are like the things I can put most of my self-care down to, is just expressing what I'm feeling as soon as I'm feeling it.
Do you know what? That's really lovely. And throughout everything you said, I was just like, just smiling. Do you know what? I have everyone that I've interviewed, everyone's given such great tips. And I feel like your tips have been the tips that I would say are up there. In the sense of, I like how you spoke about love, and how you said the people around you, what did you say? You said people around you kind of reflect.
Yeah, they reflect
love in different ways. And I really, really, really love that, because you know, sometimes we don't really think about the people around us and how they make us feel. We just, well, for some people, they just think love is just love. But you can get love in so many different ways. So you can get love from your mum, which is different from your dad, which is different from your aunt, which is different from your friend, which is different from your partner, which is different from a stranger. You can get love in so many different ways. And just even me thinking about it, it just makes me appreciate, and it just makes me feel so humble and so grateful for the different type of love that I receive from different from different people. So yeah, it's just so humbling, and just so, like you said, kind of being mindful and just being in that present moment. And you know, just me and you having this conversation, I'm already thinking of the different types of way people love me and how that makes me feel loved. So that's number one for one of the top tips of self-care. That's got to be number one, because I really, really liked how you kind of explained it and expressed it. It was really nice, and it kind of humbled me in that sense. And you know, even for me doing these interviews, I'm super, super grateful. And I need to actually watch back every single interview and kind of write down my little notes, because when I do an interview, I don't watch it back because I think it's a bit cringy watching myself back. I just do the interview and just, that's it, next one. So yeah, that was really nice. I liked how you kind of summed everything up in a kind of nice nutshell as to how you take care of your self-care. Because I think it's one thing about these interviews is that it's really important that we learn from each other and understand different ways of how people take care of their self-care, because how I take care of my self-care is different. But when we learn from each other, we can create like a long list of the different ways, and then we can kind of grow within ourselves. So yeah, that was lovely. That was nice.
Can I ask you how you take care of your self-care?
Yes. Did you ask me how I take care of mine?
Yeah, how do you?
Oh, how do I take care of mine? I pray more than ever before. I pray. I kind of write a lot of things in my notes. So if I'm feeling upset about anything or angry, I write it down in my notes. I speak to myself, self-reflection, process my thoughts and how I'm thinking. I journal. But when I journal, it's more like a prayer as opposed to journaling. Like, people journal differently, but my journals are kind of prayers, like, dear God, da 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 da. What else do I do? I love listening to slow jams. Like, literally, my friends call me weird because I listen to slow jams morning, afternoon, eve, like any time, anytime. Like me, I love it. People think, are you sad? Like, listen, I'm in the happiest mood. Like, I'm listening to the saddest song. I'm finding the happiness in that song. So yeah, definitely listen to slow jams, journaling, praying, being alone. I feel that during this COVID, having that time to just be alone and just be in stillness has really, really helped me, because I feel like sometimes my mind goes into overload and I overthink things. But when I'm just by myself, it could just be sitting in my car. I really enjoy the silence and just the stillness of doing that. I need to do that often. But yeah, those are my tips on how I take care of myself.
I like those. I do that. I like trying to be silent as well. I think it's difficult with like the social media and stuff like that, and not realizing how much noise we're taking in all the time. And then like, it's been easier in this quarantine to kind of just like find yourself a lot more alone than like usual, and actually focusing and what's what I'm looking for, when you actually schedule that time. Like, before it was impossible, and actually I'd always fill all of my time, so there wasn't really any like silent alone time, especially not with, if I was alone I'd be watching something or listening to music or something, but actually just to be alone with my thoughts only. I've been trying to actually schedule that in, and it's been good. With the warm weather, I've been able to do it, just sitting in the garden and just lying there.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I've noticed about just practicing, it is an actual practicing just being still. Some may call it meditation, but it depends on what you're doing in that moment. But one thing I've learned is that when you practice stillness and just being in the moment, when you come out of that place, you realize how noisy and how distracting the world actually is.
True.
I remember when I was doing it, I was just sitting in my car, just like chilling, no phone, no nothing. And then I took my daughter out for a walk, and the sound of the cars was just so triggering. It was just so irritating.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in the world we live in, we kind of, noise is norm to us. You know, we don't see it as anything. We just see, oh yeah, it's just a lorry, or yeah, it's just a car hooting. But it is actually, for me, it is actually mentally and emotionally triggering, and it
Yeah.
kind of takes you away from your peaceful mind state. But yeah, that's just one of those things that I like doing. So yeah, we have some questions. How do you feel about answering questions?
Always happy to answer questions.
Right, let me see if I'm doing it right though. I'm gonna click because it's got number 3 here, so I'm assuming. Okay. Oh, sorry guys, we can't let fans join in, just because we want to create a safe space for the interview. But we do welcome questions. Okay, we've got one question here that says, when exactly did you know that you have so much passion for singing and writing? And that was from Red Brown Rose.
Hey, Red Brown Rose. When did I know that I had a passion for singing and writing? I was really young. I think the time I realized it was like a passion, like I wanted to do it more than anything, I was about 10 or 11, and I was just like teaching myself how to produce and record on our family computer, and like obviously breaking the computer because it wasn't built for that amount of like recording and stuff like that and downloading. But yeah, I was about 10 or 11, and I realized that like I was really, really interested in all of the intricacies and like what it takes to make an entire song. And I found myself, you know, when you're working backwards, what's that word? Where I'm like trying to decode, I'm trying to learn how to produce, but by peeling all the layers away, but without actually having any like formal training or anything in music production. So I just think my curiosity was like so peaked then that yeah, I knew it was something I was gonna do forever when I was like 10 or 11.
Oh wow, that's nice. We have another question. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. If you could only do one, would it be singing or making beats? And that's from BC the Grand Slam.
Or BC the Grand Slam, very cheeky. um, if I can only do one, I think it would be producing, because like I think the productions, I just feel like it lasts forever, because I can always, I don't know, you can always grow by adding. Oh, I mean, if I was singing, I could become part of a group or something. But I feel like when I think about the lifespan of both singing and producing, I think there's ways that I can grow and move into different worlds a little bit more as a producer. And then I can also, because I can't change my voice, and I can escape my sound when I'm in production. But like, my voice is my voice, and like I can do as many impressions as I like, but like it's not gonna have as much range as my production is gonna have. So I think if I had to, which I never will unless it's forbidden to happen, like if I had to choose, it'd be production.
Okay. Well, that is a lovely way to end today's interview. But before you go, I just want to ask, what can we expect from you in the future? Although the future may seem a bit blurry, what are you maybe looking forward to doing, or yeah, just anything?
I think I've been super, super fortunate in this COVID, because I got awarded, this is in the last few weeks, I got awarded the PPL Momentum Music Fund, which means that like the company PPL and PRS have given me a good lump sum of money to be able to produce a new EP, and then also make some cool like other stuff to go around it. So like right this minute, I'm finishing that music to be able to release literally as soon as it's ready, sort of thing, before the end of the year, for sure. And yeah, so that's given me a lot to focus on right now. And then also I'm just like promising I'm going to deliver a lot of new music and a lot of visuals. That's definitely going to come. I'm still thinking about the live side of things. I don't know, the world is slowly opening up. People are doing some kind of distancing shows from like balconies and stuff like that. So I'm trying to dream up something that could be interesting that people could come to but would still be safe. I don't know. Otherwise, maybe a live thing, but promising the music is coming and there's a lot of music on the way.
Oh, wow. Yes. That's what we like to hear. And one more thing before you go, I kind of feel like things are changing when it comes to like festivals and kind of the way people perform songs. So I am looking forward to kind of when you do release your music or whatever creative way that you find to kind of do gigs and do things. I think it'll be very creative because it's something that we've never experienced before. So yeah, it'll be very creative and very interesting to kind of see what you come up with. I know you're a creative person, so it will be very creative and enjoyable. So yeah, all the best with that. Thank you for today's interview. It's been amazing. I'm definitely going to watch this one back. Not being biased to the other people, but yeah, I'll watch all of them back. Yeah, thank you so much and take care, stay safe, keep in touch, and yeah, keep taking care of your mental health.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No worries. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you everyone for watching today's interview with EMMAVIE. She was amazing, truly inspiring and inspirational. I will be back next week, Wednesday. And for those who don't know, I am doing some interviews on Wednesdays and Sundays now. So do stay tuned. But yeah, I'll be back next week, Wednesday, 7 o'clock with another interview. Thank you for keeping up with me and my guests, and take care of your mental health, and I'll see you soon. Bye.